Progress.
Okay,
Okay,
in today's
in today's
presentation,
presentation,
we are going to
we are
talk
going to
about
talk about
semantics.
semantics.
Next,
Next,
before we moving on to our material,
material,
let us
let us
introduce
introduce
ourselves. My name is
ourselves. My
Lahutan
name is
India
Lahutan
Absari.
India Absari.
My name is Nabila Isya Maharani.
My name is Indah Amalia.
And my name is Niputu Eka Indah Tiari.
Okay, next.
Next,
In today's presentation, we are going to talk about semantics,
semantics,
formal
formal
semantics,
semantics,
lexical relation,
lexical relation,
semantic
semantic
features,
features,
and
and
conceptual
conceptual
semantics.
semantics.
Next.
Next,
Okay, so first we are going
first
to
we are
talk
going to
about
talk about
semantics.
semantics.
So semantic
So semantic
involves the deconstruction of
deconstruction
words,
of words,
signals, and
signals,
sentence structure.
sentence structure.
It
It
influences our reading
influences our reading
comprehension as well
comprehension as well
as our
as our
comprehension
comprehension
of other people's
other
words
people's words
in everyday
in everyday
conversation.
conversation.
So to put it
So to put
simply,
it simply,
semantic is the
semantic
study
is the
of
study
meaning in
of meaning
language.
in language.
It can be
It can
applied to
be
entire
applied to
text
entire text
or to single
or to
words.
single words.
Next,
Next,
okay, there are three types of semantics,
semantics,
which is
which is
formal
formal
semantics,
semantics,
lexical
lexical
semantics, and
semantics, and
conceptual
conceptual
semantics.
semantics.
So,
So,
formal
formal
semantics
semantics
is usually used to analyze the
broader
relationship between
relationship
language
between
and
language and
reality,
reality,
truth and
truth and
possibility.
possibility.
It uses
It
techniques
uses
from math,
techniques from math,
philosophy, and logic.
philosophy, and logic.
Next, we have
Next, we
lexical
have
semantics.
lexical semantics.
It
It
deconstructs words
constructs
and
words and
phrases within a
phrases
line
within a
of
line
text
of
to
text to
understand the meaning
understand the
in
meaning
terms
in
of
terms of
context.
context.
And then
And
conceptual
then conceptual
semantics
semantics
deals with the
deals
most
with the
basic
most
concept
basic
and
concept
form of
and
words
form of words
before our
before
thoughts
our
and
thoughts
feelings.
and feelings.
Added
Added
context to it.
context to it.
Next.
Next,
Next, we have
we have
formal
formal
semantics.
semantics.
Let's take a look at this video
Video
for us to
to
understand what is
understand
formal
what is formal
semantics.
semantics.
This video is an introduction to the idea of formal semantics. At this point, our approach in the course splits. Thinking about QL, what we want is both a semantics, where semantics is a theory about meaning and truth, and a proof theory, which is about constructing arguments. We'll see at the end of the course that semantics and proofs complement one another. If we want to show that an argument in QL is invalid, we do that by working in the semantics to show how it's possible for the premises to be true and the conclusion false. To show that an argument is valid, we provide a proof to show that the premises lead to the conclusion. Chapter 5 of the textbook is about semantics, and that's what we'll be concerned with for the next few weeks. We'll deal with proof theory further on in the semester. Let's start by thinking about the semantics of SL. From truth tables, you already know about how meaning and truth work in SL, but maybe you haven't thought about them in this way. Everything we can write in SL can be written with symbols from this list. There are sentence letters, there are 5 sentential connectives, and there are parentheses. We were able to give a formal definition of a well-formed formula and a sentence of SL in terms of how these symbols fit together. We can call the connectives and parentheses logical symbols because their meaning is specified by the structure of SL itself. The ampersand always means conjunction. It always means and. you can't make it mean something else. And because it always means the same thing, you don't have to specify what it means in a symbolization key. The sentence letters, on the other hand, are non-logical symbols. Their meaning depends on the symbolization key. What capital B means depends on what context we're talking in. Suppose our symbolization key specifies that M means today is Monday, and R means it is raining. Okay, ask yourself, is M true or false? Is R true or false? Now, I can't say because I don't know when you're going to be watching the video. I don't know what the weather will be like when you're watching the video. Is M true? That's something I can't tell you. So the symbolization key alone doesn't determine whether the sentence letters are true or false. It depends on the symbolization key, but it also depends in a broad sense on what the world is like. What day is it? What's the weather like where you are? The only significance that the sentence letters have in SL are their truth value. That is, the symbolization key plus what the world is like determine the truth value of the sentence letters, but it's only the truth value of the sentence letters that affect how sentences turn out in SL. Suppose that it's Monday and it's not raining. Then M gets a value of 1. R gets a value of 0. Once we've specified these truth values, we can do all the work in SL without thinking again about the symbolization key or about what the world is like. M might as well be any true sentence. In SL, the sentence letter M isn't particularly about days of the week. And R might as well be any false sentence. In SL, it's not especially about the weather. Now consider a compound sentence like M and R arrow M. Its truth value just depends on the truth of its parts. If M happens to be true and R happens to be false, as we've supposed before, then the compound sentence gets a value of true, 1. It's like one row of a truth table, one way that things can be. A truth value assignment is a mathematical function that answers 1 or 0 for each sentence letter. You can think of it as being like a row of a truth table, but for all the sentence letters. Truth value assignment is enough to calculate the truth value of every sentence of SL. That's because the truth value of long, complex sentences can be calculated from the truth value of the sentence letters they contain. That's what you do every time you fill in the row of a truth table. Technically, to say a sentence of SL is true always assumes some truth value assignment. The truth value assignment is what makes the sentence true or false. So you can think of a truth value assignment as being a way the world could be. There's one that represents the actual world, and the others are different logically possible worlds. When we're thinking about a sentence or a list of sentences, we can specify all the possible truth value assignments. That's what we do when we construct a complete truth table. Every row of a truth table represents a way the world could be, and in a complete truth table, we consider all the relevant possibilities. A sentence is a tautology if it's true in all possibilities. And in SL, we could check that just by listing them. What we want to know now is, what is it in QL that does the work that a truth value assignment does in SL? The answer is going to be a model. We won't be able to list all of the possible models, so we want to have a procedure like truth tables to test sentences or arguments of QL. That's something we'll see later. This video has been mostly conceptual, but it's meant to motivate what we do next. We're going to develop models and a semantics for QL.
Okay, next is going to be lexicosemantic, which is going to be explained by my friend.
Okay, I will continue with lexical semantics. Semantics related to the meaning of words are called lexical semantics or lexical relations. Lexical relations describe the relationship between the meanings of words. Next. Okay, I will explain about lexical semantics relations. There are some types of lexical relations. Here are the most common types of lexical relationship between words. The first one is synonym, and then antonym, and then hyponym, and then prototypes, and then homophones and homonyms, and then polysemy and metonym. Next. The first one is synonym. When two or more words have a very close meaning, it's called synonym. Words with the same meaning often can be substituted for each other in sentences. Here are some examples. The first example is the party was terrible with the party was awful. As you can see, terrible and awful are synonyms of bad. They are used to indicate the same meaning. The second example is she has a big house and she has a large house. Big and large have same meaning that describe the look of the house. The third example is it was difficult exam and it was hard. Difficult and hard have same meaning that describe how is the next. The second type is antonym. Antonym refers to words with opposite meaning. They are usually in pairs and can be found across all parts of speech. Here are some examples. In adjective, there is hot and cold. Hot and cold have opposite meaning. And then in noun, there is freedom and slavery. Freedom and slavery have opposite meaning. And then in verb, there is like and dislike. Like and dislike have opposite meanings. And in adverb, there is never and always have opposite meanings. And then the last is preposition. There is on and off. On and off also have opposite meaning. In antonym, there is some types, and the first one is logical antonym, and then complementary antonym, and then reverse antonym. Next. The first one is gradable antonyms. An antonym that is gradable is described as one that is opposite at each end of a spectrum, but with some gradation between the extremes. Comparative constructions are also used in this type. For example, first example is high and low. Between high and low, the gradation is medium. And then the second example is young and old. Between young and old, the gradation is major. And then the last example is hot and cold. Between hot and cold, the gradation is warm. Next. Second is complementary antonyms or non-gradable antonyms. A complementary antonym is a word pair whose meanings are opposite but not continuous. Each of these words pairs the absolute opposite of the other and they can be used independently. For example, dead and alive. Here we do not say deader or more dead, so comparative construction is not normally used. The second example is yes and no, and then male and female, and then single and married. Next. The last is reverse antonyms. Reverse antonyms are two words that have a reverse relationship and they are dependent. These are the example of reverse antonyms. The first one is night and day. If there, it's also there. It also must be day. And the second example is push and pull. If there are push, it must be also pull. And then the last example is pack and unpack. If there is pack, it also must be unpacked. Next. The next material will be explained by
Okay, thank you, Eka. I will continue the next types of lexical relation. The third is hyponym. Hyponym happens when the meaning of one form is included in the meaning of another in some type of hierarchical relationship. It can be found in verbs, adjectives, and nouns. There are three major terms used in hyponym. Hyponym, which refers to a general term, hyponym, which refers to a more specific term, and coheponyms, which refer to the hyponym and of the same level. Take a look at the example below. The first sentence is green, white, and blue are the hyponyms of color. Here, color is the hyponym of green, white, and blue. Green, white, and blue are co-hyponyms of each other. The second sentence is cat, dog, and horse are the hyponyms of animals. So, as you can see in the picture, color is hyponym, and purple, red, blue, and green are hyponyms of color. Purple, red, blue, and green is cohyponyms. And the purple color is further divided into three. There are crimson, violet, and lavender. Okay, next. Fourth is prototype. Is a member or a set of members of a group that best represent the group as a whole is called a prototype. An example of a group that is easily recognized by people is prototype. Here are some examples. The first sentence is, chair is the prototype of furniture. As you can see, people recognize chair is as a better example than bench or stool. The second sentence is, robin is the prototype of bird. Here, dove, pelican, and robin are all hyponyms of bird, but not all of them are good and recognizable example of bird. Robin is the best member of bird. Next is 5. Homophones and homonyms. When words with different spelling and meanings have the same pronunciation, they are defined as homophones. When words with the same spelling and pronunciation have different meaning, they are described as homonyms. Here are some examples. First example is right and right is called homophones. Second, meat and meat is means example of homophones. Race, a competition for speed. A race is a people who belong to the same genetic stock. Is called homonyms. As you can see, the two types of race are not related in meaning. They just have the same form. The last is bat. Bat is flying animal. And bat in this use for hitting the ball is called homonyms. The sixth type is polysemy. Polysemy happens when a word has more than one meaning and all its meanings are listed under one entry in a dictionary. Here are some examples of polysemous words. The first sentence is mouth is a noun. Mouth of a river, mouth of an animal, and mouth of a cave. As you can see, it has different meaning, but they are related by sense. The second is light. Light is adjective. Light means color, and not heavy, not serious, and foods. Okay, the last type is metonym. Metonym is an association between a thing and something associated with it. In fact, a metonym is a word that replaces the original words. Take a look at the example. The first example is I swear to the crown. Crown is metonym for king and queen. Here, crown is representative symbol of the monarch. And then there is the picture, the second picture. I drank the whole bottle. Bottle is metonym of water or liquid. Here is a close connection between them. So the next material will be explained by my friends.
Okay, thank you for the time. I will continue the semantic features. Semantic features is a component of the concept associated with a lexical item. Female plus performer is female performer. And female performer is an actress. More than generally, it can also be a component of the concept associated with any grammatical unit, whether corpus or not. Okay, next. Considering the following sentence, we can understand the semantic approach to the study of meaning in language. And here we have a couple of sentence. The hamburger at the Mac. This sentence is syntactically good, but semantically odd. The kind of noun that can be the subject of the verb at must, donate, and that is capable of eating the noun hamburger does not have this property, and the noun and does. We can make these observations more generally applicable by trying to determine the crucial element of meaning that any noun must have in order to be used as a subject of the verb aid. Such as element might be a general animate being. We can then use this idea to describe part of the meaning of word as either having plus or not having minus the particular feature. So the feature that the noun man has is plus animate because donate and animate being, and the feature that hamburger has is minus animate because does not animate donate. Next. This is a simple example. Is an illustration of procedure for analyzing meaning in terms of semantic features by adding plus or minus with the quality to justify the words such as plus animate, minus animate, plus human, and minus human, plus male and minus male, plus adult, and minus adult. It will be clear in the following diagram. The table is minus animate. The cow is plus animate. Girl is plus animate. Woman is plus animate. Boy is plus animate. Man is plus animate. Table is minus human. Cow is minus human. Girl is plus human. Woman is plus human. Boy is plus human. Man is plus human. Table is minus male. Co is minus male. Girl is minus male. Woman is minus male. Boy is plus male. Man is plus male. The last is table is minus adult. Co is minus adult. Girl is minus adult. Woman is plus adult. Boy is minus adult. Man is plus adult. Okay, the next explanation will continue by my friends.
Okay, here we have conceptual semantics. Let's take a look at the video for further examination about conceptual semantics.
Hello everyone and welcome back to another e-lecture on semantics. Our topic for today is theories of concepts. If you recall from our previous lecture, we discussed the semiotic triangle. We also discussed under the notion of reference that there were two theories of reference. One was the denotational theory and the other was the representational theory. The representational theory suggests that the word or a linguistic expression means a sense or a concept, a mental representation that we have in our minds. Our task for today is to identify or understand in greater detail what this concept is. Now there are several theories that talk about what the concept is, what it contains. That will be our topic for today. Stay tuned. So when it comes to identifying what a concept is, there are four major theories. The first is the image theory. The second we will discuss is called the classical theory. The third we will discuss is called the causal theory. And the fourth one we will discuss is called the prototype theory. Let's begin with the first one, the image theory. Now the image theory is quite simple in its tenets. Basically what the image theory suggests is that when a linguistic expression is uttered, say the word dog, the concept we think of is an actual image. Say this image for instance. And of course you know the rest. It is this image that helps us determine which object in the world is an instance of dog. But of course right away you can see some of the problems that can arise from taking our concept or our sense of the word dog to be an actual image. So right off the bat you can imagine that people will have different images in their minds about what constitutes a dog. What is a dog? Is it something like this picture, or like this, or even this? Not only that, but if we were all to agree on the first one, on this picture, that this is what represents a dog, then how are we to say that this is also a dog when it doesn't look very much like the first picture? If we were to take the image theory, and even in the best case scenario where we were to agree on one image for dog, it would be very difficult to include other types of dogs into the category dog. This theory then clearly has its shortcomings. So let's put this theory aside for now. Let's start now with the classical theory. Now the classical theory has another name for it, which is the necessary and sufficient conditions theory. What do we mean by the necessary and sufficient conditions? Well, under this classical theory, when we say the word dog, the sense in our minds of the word dog is not an image like the image theory, but rather a list of conditions that the dog must meet in order to be an actual dog in the real world. This list of conditions may be something like this. A dog must be plus animal, plus 4 legs, minus gills, for example, that it doesn't breathe underwater. Okay, so this is just an example, but that's basically how it would go. And then every time you say the word dog and you want to identify if this word denotes the actual dog you see in the real world, you would use this list of necessary and sufficient conditions to determine whether what you see in the real world is a dog or not. Is it a member of the category dog or not? This is going to be based on these conditions. Again, we can still see some problems though, even with the necessary and the sufficient conditions theory or the classical theory. And that is that people do not tend to agree upon all of the necessary and sufficient conditions. The second problem is that how much of these necessary and sufficient conditions must we agree upon in order to understand each other? These things are not clear. Take for example the word gold. What can gold denote in the real world? Well, we're going to have the meaning of gold or the denotation of gold be mediated by our concept. But here's the thing. This concept is going to be different for each and every speaker. So for an ordinary person, gold might be plus metal, plus expensive, plus yellowish, and plus shiny. Now I'm sure a lot of things in the world fit this description. How come we still are able to understand what gold is? Not only that, but a person mining for gold or a chemist might have a different idea of what gold is. So scientists might think of gold's density or the number of atoms, or if it could be bent and shaped or not. They surely won't be taking our simple definition of something of a gold color and shiny. So really the main problem with the classical theory is that there's no room for fuzziness. What do we mean by fuzziness? We mean that sometimes it's not very clear or a clear-cut distinction between either you are part of this category or not. Sometimes things are in a gray area and we are still able to understand them. This theory looks at things in a more like a 0 or 1 relationship. You're either an instance of something or you're not. For example, let's think up the category bird. Now the category bird, under the necessary and sufficient conditions, could be plus animal, plus fly, that it can fly, plus feathers, right? So these are the basic things we think of when we think of bird. Now think of a canary. Is a canary a good example of bird? Is it a bird under this definition? Well, yes, it's an animal. Check. It can fly. It has feathers. But what about a chicken? Well, a chicken's an animal. It has feathers, but it doesn't fly. Under the necessary and sufficient conditions theory or the classical theory, chicken is not a bird. What about penguin? A penguin's an animal, but it doesn't have feathers, but they do not fly. Actually, penguins swim. They're actually very good swimmers. So, again, under this theory, penguins are not birds. So you can see there that fuzziness or accepting fuzzy members is a real problem for the classical theory. Let's move on to the next one. So now we can throw the classical theory out the window as well. Stay tuned for our next lecture, in which we're going to discuss the causal theory and the prototype theory. See you there.
Okay, in here we have semantics research that has been made, which is a mass term and model theoretic semantics by Harry C. Bond, 1985, in Cambridge University. And then we have Cambridge textbook in linguistics, lexical semantics by D.A. Cruz, 1986, in Cambridge University. Next. So this is the reference that we use to make this presentation. Next. Thank you for listening to our presentation. We apologize if there are any mistakes. Thank you.